The gaming industry haven't been able to catch a break, especially with the whole situation with the escape from Tarkov, how they were trying to get everyone to buy a DLC only to say that the bonuses that comes with the DLC isn't for free. You actually have to pay for that. I think there's a lot of bullshit going on in the gaming industry because today democracy is on fire. And with that said, we are talking about Helldivers 2. They have a situation going on where they just recently made an announcement, or Arrowhead Studios made an announcement saying that in the next couple weeks moving forward, Steam players, or PC users we should say, are going to be required to create a PlayStation account if they don't have it, and they have to link their Steam account to their PlayStation account if they want to continue playing Helldivers 2. I'm going to break down both sides of this argument here, and I'm just going to give you my piece on the whole matter right after that. But as of right now, there seems to be a lot of review bombing. The Discord is currently in flames right now because in the very beginning it was said that the PlayStation, accounts are going to be required in order to play online on Helldivers 2. But the issue with that was that it wasn't mandated. Apparently it was temporarily optional for the time being. You didn't have to connect your PlayStation account, but it was there if you wanted to do it, and people were completely fine with it. So the game has been out for 3 to 4 months. And now, of all times, they decide, hey, this was a temporary thing, so we're just going to go ahead and just force PC players to create a PlayStation account and link their Steam and PlayStation accounts together. And then they were saying something along the lines of, this has to do with, safety and security of, PlayStation games or something like that. A whole horse shit, if you will. But people just aren't buying it, and today we're going to be talking about that. So this is going to come from PCGamer.com. It says here that as a recap, in case you didn't see the news earlier, Helldivers 2 will require you to link your Steam account to the PlayStation Network starting May 6th. Though said requirement will roll out piecemeal. By May 30th, Steam users will be confronted with a login screen, and by June 4th, they'll absolutely 100% need to register. This move, Sony claims that it is to protect players from griefing, among other benefits, and was only ever delayed thanks to the state of Helldivers 2's servers at launch. That was basically what it was. The launch for Helldivers 2 was a little bit, rocky at first. It wasn't really so bad, but it could be better. And they recovered just fine. But they didn't really enforce the whole, hey, listen guys, we realize that in order to fix this connection issues or this server issues we have going on, you need to link your PlayStation account. This was never pushed upon PC players. I mean, PlayStation users don't have to worry so much. They don't have to do vice versa. It's really only PC players have to do it. But PC players make a pretty big chunk of the player base. So you're going to hear a lot of this coming from PC players, as well as PlayStation users just voicing their support for the PC community. Despite that, 2, 3, 4 months later, now they're saying that it has to be required, and people are not really happy about it because the game is successful as is. You don't have to enforce something like that. If something was to be, if that was a policy from the very beginning, that should have been enforced from the very beginning. Now, time will tell if people would make a big stink about it if this game were to come out. But there's one thing for sure, is that there are people that paid for this game, and now that they're saying they're being mandated to create a PlayStation account, they're now saying that they wouldn't have spent money on this game to begin with. And also the biggest issue that we have to address here, and I think this is something that this demographic deserves the most justice for, is the people that play Helldivers 2 is not limited to Americans and Europeans and, people in different parts of the world. You do have people in some countries that don't allow you to create a PlayStation Network account. So say you're in the Philippines, you can't make a PlayStation account. You can play on Steam, but you can't play on PlayStation. So basically what that means is, if you live in the Philippines and Helldivers 2 enforces this policy saying you need to make a PlayStation account, you're asked out. There's really nothing you can do there. It's kind of fucked up. So you only got a month to play Helldivers 2 until you're locked out of the game because your country doesn't allow you to create a PlayStation Network. So then there's the argument that says, well, why not just make an account but put it in a different country. Believe it or not, if you look at the terms of service under Sony, or the PlayStation Network, if you will, that is a bannable offense. You're not really supposed to create an account, but say you're living or you made this account in a different country. That could get you indefinitely banned. If someone in the Philippines decided to make an account and they decide to say, oh, I'm not in the Philippines, I'm in this random country, you could take a dart, throw it on the map and say, well, I'm creating my account on this country here, you can get banned for that. And from what I saw, there was a player that played Helldivers 2 who was from China, and he tried to use a VPN to connect his PlayStation account to a different country or something like that. And I guess something triggered within Sony's or PlayStation's security, and they banned that user from creating a PlayStation account moving forward because he used a VPN. So there's a lot of crazy things going on here. It's not fair to those people, and I really feel those people should be entitled to a refund because of something like that. Because again, if a PlayStation Network account was required, they wouldn't have bought the game. But then when the game came out, it wasn't enforced. It was just, oh yeah, you don't have to connect anything. You can just play the game and you'll be completely fine. But now, here's the craziest part here, and this is something that I actually want to show you. And this is where PlayStation got caught red-handed. So here's a screenshot of PlayStation's website where you have like the FAQs and they talk about, you know, PlayStation games on PC. So it says here in the very middle, it says, do I have to sign in to PlayStation Network or PSN to play a PlayStation game on PC? Helldivers 2 obviously is a PlayStation game, so of course this may apply here. And the answer here, and mind you, this was on 2:23 p.m. Friday, May 3rd. It says here, signing into PlayStation Network is optional when playing a PlayStation game on PC. And that's what it looked like in the very beginning. When you hopped on Helldivers 2 on launch day, it was optional to connect your account to there. So I don't think there was any issues there. People were fine with it. Some connected their PlayStation accounts and others didn't, and then that's it. We moved on with our lives. We were having a blast playing Helldivers 2. You can see here that it was updated no more than a minute later. And then if you look at the middle question here, it says, and they changed it by saying, some PlayStation games may require you to sign in and link to an account for PlayStation Network. This is absolutely crazy how they're doing this. So PlayStation is, or Sony we should say, is actively doing damage control. Arrowhead Studios did the whole announcement. Everyone was pointing fingers at Arrowhead Studios saying like, you guys are fucked up, you guys shouldn't do this. This is how you take everything that you build and everything that you achieved and just burn it all in just a matter of days. Now, Arrowhead Studios is saying that this really wasn't their call. So the CEO of Arrowhead Studios replied to the whole report on Helldivers 2 just being review bombed, and he goes by saying, ouch, right in the review score. Well, I guess it's warranted. Sorry everyone for how this all transpired. I hope we will make it up and regain the trust by providing a continued great game experience. I just want to make great games. And you can see on the picture down below, mostly positive reviews, 79%. That's basically all time, but as of recently, it's been mixed with 65% positive rating. But then if you looked at the chart, you can see those negative scores are is overwhelming. But when you look at the graph for the review score for Helldivers 2, I think like roughly like 80 to like 90% of reviews that's been given to Helldivers have been negative because of this current policy that's being enforced all of a sudden. Again, I think it's pretty fucked up. Not gonna lie to you, at first I was kind of confused with this because I was like, this was something that was already known to the public. It's not like they were, you know, hiding this or they didn't tell you this. In all fairness, they could have been more upfront about it as opposed to just putting it on a store page and just having it collect dust and just not paying attention to it until it becomes enforced, and then all of a sudden it's, well, it was on the store page, so you can't tell us that you didn't know about it. Sure, people didn't know about it, but then it wasn't enforced in the very beginning, so why are you enforcing it now? Especially with how successful your game has become. So one of the developers in the Discord, or one of the community managers, I should say, replied to a comment that says, listen, I live in a country that does not have a PSN network. If I use VPN, it just cuts off there for some reason. I guess the message was longer than what it appeared. One of the community managers answers by saying, first of all, it's Sony's decision, not ours. Secondly, we do not have all the details about region-related issues yet. We're chasing Sony to get more information. And I strongly feel they do. I think it's absolutely crazy that Sony can just get away with something like that. The fact that you can't even make a PlayStation account in your own country, but you were able to play their game for 3 months, but now Sony is about to close the gate on you saying, well, you got to make a PlayStation account to play this game. Oh, you can't make a PlayStation account in your own country? Yikes. I don't know, man. That sounds like a personal problem to me. I think it's just really fucked up. It's fucked up. It's bullshit. It's scummy. I really think PlayStation should really consider what they're doing here. They should reverse it and just let it be an option thing once again. Now you're forcing people to create a PlayStation account out of the sake of security, which kind of doesn't make any sense. And not to mention, I'm not sure if I'm wrong here. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think PlayStation recently had a data breach, like no more than last year, no more than 12 months ago. So now you are saying that people should make a PlayStation account for the protection of griefing and for their safety, but then you're getting data breached, which doesn't make any sense. And if there's one thing I know about PC gamers, or basically anybody, I should say, basically anybody at this point, no one likes to create accounts. Because at the end of the day, you're giving your information to another company. And people are very protective of their data now, because companies take data and they sell it, and then you get spam, you get phishing emails, and people don't like that. So a lot of people see Sony as just another company that just wants your information, and they don't want to give away their information to another company that they have little to nothing to do with. So that's basically mostly applying to PC gamers, but just creating an account in general is just an inconvenience to a lot of people. It's the same situation that happened with Payday 3, how Payday 3 just suddenly just made it mandated for everyone to make an account so that they could start matchmaking with their friends. People did not like that at all. People didn't want to create an account. Because hell, Payday 1 and 2, you didn't have to make an account, but now all of a sudden you have to create an account in order to play the game. Even if you want to play solo, it doesn't make any sense. So now Helldivers 2 is kind of doing that same thing. Sure, Payday 3 wasn't saying you have to make a Sony account. The common denominator between these two games is making an account, and people don't want to do that. Even if you tell them, well, connect to a different country, well, that is a bannable offense. Oh, well, you could just make a burner email. No one is going to remember a burner email, especially for one specific game. You're telling people to do multiple steps just so that, oh, you don't have to give your legitimate information, or you don't have to say you're in this country. But then you're putting people in uncomfortable positions that they just don't want to deal with to begin with. Thus, it creates a very tone-deaf argument when you're speaking in defense of maybe Arrowhead Studios or even Sony. I just hope that this whole situation gets reversed. It probably not, considering Sony is the type of company just like any other goddamn corporation in this world that's going to stick to their guns, and they're just going to count their money at the end of the day. It's just really bullshit, because there was a post that I saw earlier saying, like, I left Escape from Tarkov after the whole situation with the DLC fiasco and the pay-to-win shit going on. They play more Helldivers, and now Helldivers 2 is pulling this shit, which is you gotta make a PlayStation account. So gamers right now cannot catch a break for the life of them. But anyways, guys, that's basically just it. This is probably a developing story. I may jump back into this. Again, hopefully Sony reverses this. They make it optional, because this is gonna, if they double down on this and they continue with this as planned, this is gonna turn to a whole shit show, and the future for Helldivers 2 will definitely be uncertain from there. But until then, that's about it, y'all. Peace.